Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic, and fantastic. I said on yesterday's video, I think, you may have heard me say that I thought I'd seen a couple of grids with different coloured lines only in them, and yesterday's puzzle was one of those. This is the other one, and look at the lines all over this. Now, I'm going to get the apology to colourblind people out there up front, because I accept that if you have some colour blindness, this might be a nightmare. And I'm sorry, I just don't know what we can do. And it seems unfair to deprive the colour-sighted people of what might be an entertaining puzzle. So Lithium Ion has set this up and has chosen a number of colours. He hasn't chosen to vary the line widths, but frankly, the grid is already very busy, and if some of the lines were thicker, it would look busier still. So I don't think there's anything we can do, and apologies if you think it's unacceptable. But I am looking forward to having a go at this. It is a very interesting rule set. It's not what I was expecting at all, having seen a picture of the grid. It's nothing like yesterday's Row Some Lines by Jobo, which was really interesting, I thought. This is a very different rule set, and looking forward to having a go. It's a look and say rule set that Lithium Ion has sort of used before, I think. So anyway, we will have a look at this in a moment. On the channel today, Simon solves a puzzle with a competition winner, Maddie Capelloni, who won the duality puzzle hunt and accepted the prize of solving a puzzle with Simon and did a cracking job of it. Very well done to Maddie. Do have a look at the video. And I think the puzzle worked out fine. So it's really interesting to watch someone sort of spar with Simon. Not spar, but work with Simon. It's a great video. And, it's right that we try things occasionally, I think. And what else are we trying? Well, if you want to get that chance, do enter our competitions. There's one on Patreon at the moment, Swipe Right, the dating agency competition to connect up 8 Sudokus into just 4 complete grids. That is on Patreon, and the competition's running till the 20th. We've also got loads of other content on Patreon, including Simon solving a Roggen puzzle and James Sinclair's TYVM. And we've got many other things there, and we've also got all of our apps, which do include line Sudoku. But I don't think any of the grids have quite as many lines as this one. And they also include Fog of War, our latest one. We've got our merchandise, like this wonderful water bottle with a knowledge bomb on it, and our logo. And we've got SVEN'S SUDOKU PAD. They're all on the links under the video. Check them out. We'll be streaming as well on Thursday night. I've said I'll be streaming. I know that I'm going to have a lunch with some beer involved, and then I'm going on for drinks with some former work colleagues, which I'm really looking forward to. And it would be churlish not to have a few glasses of wine with them. So who knows what state I'll be in by the time we're streaming. Good thing I don't control the mouse. Simon will probably manage some wine clicks on his own without my help. So that's on Thursday night. We'll be going back to the CATALOGUE pillar, I believe. So I saw someone on the Maddie Capelloni video had suggested that Maddie might be a perfectly adequate substitute for me if I was too drunk. Well, let's see what happens. Now, I'm going to do the rules of this puzzle by Lithium Ion, who is a really entertaining setter. Look at those lines. Normal Sudoku rules apply. So 1 to 9 will somehow go in every row, column, and 3 by 3 box. Cells that are a knight's move apart are not allowed to contain identical digits. Now, where is my character? Oh, somebody moaned about the X face trope. Well, I don't care. This character is called Knighty McKnightface, and he reminds me when I forget that there's a knight's move restriction. So these 2 cells couldn't contain the same digit. Both digits, which can be equal on the endpoints of a line, let's take the yellow line, they form a look and say clue. For example, if the digits on the endpoints are 5 and 3, then there have to be exactly 5 3s and 3 5s on this line. The different line colours are only used to avoid confusion regarding line crossings. Let's hope that works. And what does it mean by the 2 digits could be equal? Well, if you had 2 4s here, that would mean that there were 4 4s on yellow, and it would tell you that twice, but that would be redundant information. But that way there is less information. So the example of 5 and 3 was telling you that there would be 5 3s and 3 5s, and that's 2 lots of information. If it tells you there's 4 4s, that's only 1 lot. So slightly less helpful. And I seem to remember that last time we tackled one of these with line ends being, I think it was by lithium ion, maybe, and Holzenatom, and involved German whisper lines, which also had this look and say line end thing going on. We had to discover then that they might be the same at both ends. So at least lithium ion has been upfront and told us this time. Give it a try. I don't know what we're going to find. Let's get cracking. Come on. Let's see what we can do. So I'm seeing that there are a lot of line ends in row 1. Right. Yes, that is a really interesting thing. It's not just that there are a lot. And I thought it was going to be a matter of some of them are in the same row and therefore they can't be the same digit. And therefore there's 2 lots of information on this sort of pink colour. And that's helpful. And it is. Right, I've got lots of things I'm thinking. This is exciting. I don't often get lots of thoughts at the start of what looks like a difficult puzzle, but I'm having lots of thoughts now. Now, this one, we can just fill them in. There's only room for 3 cells on the line. These have to be different. That must be a 1 and a 2. And it's telling us that there's 1 1 on the line. No, 2 1s and 1 2. That's what the look and say clue does. So because we know that's a 1-2 pair, we know that's a 1 and we can fill in the numbers. Never have I started a puzzle so quickly. Now this pink line, this only runs through 4 boxes. So surely 4 is the maximum number, as in the sense of how many of a number there can be on it. So I think that has to be a 3-4 pair. Again, the numbers have to be different. Now they have to be not 1 and 2. I think this is telling us there are 3 4s and 4 3s on the line. That's one of those pairs. Here there must be another 3 and 4 in those cells somewhere. Here there must be another 3 and 4 in those cells. And here somewhere in those pink cells. Now that's causing an X-wing. That's going to use up both 3s and 4s in columns 4 and 5. And the 3 and 4 in column 6 are going to be down here. And I don't care if this gets over pencil marked. I'm excited to have discovered something. Now, the other thought that I have not communicated to you that I had straight away in the top row is if every cell is a line end, then one of those bad boys is a 9. Because we must have the numbers 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9 in this row. Now, a 9 can only possibly appear on a line which goes through all the boxes because 9 of some digit are going to appear on that line. And it's not this grey line, which, I don't know, it doesn't go through that box. This orange line, this is the line that does go through all the boxes. Oh, well, no, I thought there would only be 1, but actually this beastly blue line goes through all the boxes too. And the yellow line doesn't. So the 9 is either on orange. Oh, hang on. The orange line has both ends in the row. What's that mean? That means that what does it mean? It means that there are 9 of some other digit, but a certain number, that other number digit of 9s. Now, this orange line only visits box 5 for 1 cell. And the blue line only visits box 5 for 1 cell and only box 2 for 1 cell. I don't quite know what. Well, I think that means for the blue line, if 9 was on a blue end tip here, it would have to be there in box well, that would be where it was in row 1. And that means the digit repeating 9 times would be a 9. So it would have to be there and there and there, and in one of these cells, so there, and in one of those cells, so there, one of those two, one of these 3, so not in the end. I mean, that will work. So 9 would have to be on both ends of the blue line, if that's where 9 is in the top row. If it's on orange, though, let's say this was 9 and 6, for instance, then there'd be 9 6s on the line, and you'd have to have 1 here, and 1 in one of those cells, 1 in one of those cells, 1 there. Oh, it'd be great if we could falsify this somehow. There'd have to be 1 in column 9. I mean, basically, that 6, I'm imagining that 6 is the other digit, would have to appear in every row, column, and box. So it would be there, it would be on that line end, it would be in one of those cells and not there. Oh, this is so weird. So, oh, it would definitely be there in box 1 and there in box 4. Oh, look, that's how it would be populated. If it was 9 lots of, say, 6, it would be in those. So 9 then would be at this end of the line. And if 9 is in blue instead, it's there. So one of those is a 9. Now, I mean, we've still got to have 8, 7, 6, and 5. This can't have 8, because you can't put 8 of anything on grey. The same is true for yellow. It just doesn't visit enough boxes. I wasn't sure about that for a second, but I've realised it doesn't visit box 2 and 7. So again, 8 has to be on one of these cells too. Now, can I rule out that this is 9 8s and 8 9s? And I think I can. So what I'm trying to say is that 9 and 8 are confined to these 3 cells. If I can say that they're not in both of these, then I know that that must be 9 or 8. Now, for 9 and 8 to be in both of these, there would be 8 9s and 9 8s. And the 8 9s would have to be, I'm going to colour these, by the way. I'm going to redo this exercise here, here, one of those two, there, there, there in row 1, there, there, not there, and not there. Okay, so that would be the 9 instances of the same digit that I'm saying are 8. Then there'd have to be 8 9s, and I have a feeling that's going to be impossible. 1 here. Well, we can't have 1 in box 5 because there's no other orange line cells there. So we would have to have 1 here. We need to put 1 in every other box. So 1 in one of those, 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, and this would be the 8 9s that I'm trying to paint in. 1 in one of those two. Oh, don't say it is possible. That will be really annoying. Or potentially really helpful. Now, how am I getting on here? I'm not... Oh, no, it's fail. No, I'd have to have 1... Oh, but I couldn't, yes. I couldn't put 1... Yes, it's utterly simple. There is only 1 incursion of the orange line into box 2. So if I'd put the 9s in these pink cells, I couldn't put 8 in 8 of the box... Or I couldn't... Sorry, if I put the 9 8s in the pink cells, I couldn't put the 8 9s into either of those boxes. And therefore I couldn't get 8 of them in because there are only 7 boxes left. That has proved that this is not an 8-9 pair, and therefore to fit 8 and 9 into the row, this blue line end is 8 or 9. And that is, I want to say that's unable to be a different digit from this. No, I don't know. If it's a 9, that's definitely a 9 because we need a 9. We need some digit to repeat in every single box. But if it's an 8, okay, what happens to put 8 of that? If that's an 8 and this is different, i.e. not an 8, then there are 8 of this digit on the blue line, and they're in every box. Well, they're here, obviously, in row 4, column 4, but they're in every box except box 2. 8. 8 of something. And that something is in one of those cells, but not there because it's in this box. So I'm looking at the blue line. Then it's in one of those two, and there. Then it's in one of those two, that one. Not in box 2, that's where it doesn't appear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and one of those two. I mean, that works all right. You can even avoid the pink cells, which I think you'd have to. Bother. So that does allow this to be an 8 and different from this. Oh, I thought I was going to do better. I'm not doing better, I'm doing worse. Right, what about this grey baby? How many boxes? That's so straightforward, isn't it? How many boxes does this visit? Or is it yellow? Grey visits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boxes. And its ends can be different. But neither end can be more than a 6. So that is 5 or 6. Yellow also visits 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, yellow visits 7 boxes. Cunning old yellow. So that digit is 5, 6, or 7. 1 is somewhere in those cells by Sudoku. I don't want to do Sudoku for a while. I want to do these line ends. I mean, this was such a good start. I really thought I was rocking. Now I'm stopping. This pink line had 3 4s and 4 3s. Right. So what is the other end of grey? Well, it's down here. You see, this could be a 1, which would say there were 5 1s. Well, it can't be a 1. Okay, there are at least 5 or 6 of whatever this is on the line. And one of them is here. Now, you can have 1 there. 1, let's assume these are different numbers. Then it's here in box. It doesn't have to be in every box if it's a 5. If it did have to be in every box, it would really play out very swimmingly. You'd know exactly where they were going, but it doesn't. It doesn't. And I'm a little adrift because there are degrees of freedom I didn't want there to be. I'm going to have to think about these 8s and 9s more solidly. Sorry. So, the other minimum digits here are 5, 6, and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So, on this orange line, we are looking at either 9 of something that is at least a 5 and at least 5 9s, or we're looking at 8 of something and so on and so forth. Now, if it is 9 of something, they're in the pink cells, whatever those 9 things are. And then this line has to sustain at least 5 9s as well. That doesn't seem like a very tall order at the moment. One of them would be in this end of the... That's not uninteresting, actually. One of them would be in this end of the line. And that rules out any more in box 2. Obviously, box 5 is ruled out because we've already pinked that cell. You could have 1 there and 1 there. Max, well, then you couldn't have 1 in this row. So 1, 2, 3 we're up to max, and we've got the line this far. One of those is a 4th, one of those is a 5th, and one of these is a 6th. So I think this is the lower number of these two is at maximum a 6, and the higher number is either 8 or 9. And weirdly, that's a 5, 6, 8, 9 quad, and this is a definite 7. That was not what I was expecting. Now, let us imagine that this digit is not a 7 on the yellow line, which has 7 of something on it. And I think it could well be 7 sevens, but let's imagine it's not. This digit, we'll call it blue, or purple. Oh no, light blue. Let's call it light blue. Where could that appear 7 times? Well, it can only appear once in these 3 cells because it's in the column. So this, oh no, I think I've got this wrong now. I thought I had just laboriously proved that the orange line couldn't have a 7 on it in its tip, because then it has to have a 9 or an 8 because they have to appear in the top row. One of them has to be there. And I thought we had just worked out there wasn't anywhere apart from where these 9 or 8... I'd assumed that there was a 9 on it, hadn't I? Okay, right, let's go back a step or two to here. Now, I'm now going to announce that I've just discovered that 7 cannot be in this yellow cell, and things have changed now. The reason 7 can't be here is because you can only get one of them, one of whatever digit is repeating 7 times in those 2 boxes. And now there are only 5 other boxes that yellow goes through. So that's a maximum of 6 of a repeating digit. So that cannot be a 7. Now 7 has to be on the orange line. And what I proved before is that if we made the pink definitely on the orange line, i.e. we said there was a 9 in one end of the orange line, then we couldn't get 7 of something else on. What I didn't allow for was that we were putting 8 of some colour on the line and 7 or 8 sevens and 7 eights. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. So this is a 7-8 pair. That is the 9. And we are getting, and we can get rid of these pink cells because that was the illustration of how we were going to place 9 of something on the orange line. In fact, I couldn't use that when I was eliminating 7, and it turned out to be impossible to eliminate 7. So what I can now say is that there are 9 repeats on the blue line, and it is a 9 because it must appear once in box 2. It is a 9 that is repeating. I'm going to make that my new violet colour. There it is in box 5. Now it's in one of those 2 in box... It is 9 9s on this line because I think I just explained why. I hope I did. I meant to. Now, one of those 2 is a 9. That means one of these 2 is a 9. And one of these 2 is a 9. And that one is the 9 in box 8. And now this is the only place for 9 in box 9. And then we're left with this pair of X-wings for where 9s go on the rest of the line. Okay, that's dealt with 9s. Now we've got the utter excitement, and I sort of do mean this, of placing 8s and 7s on the orange line. 8 7s and 7 8s. 15 of such digits, right. So let's colour them against each other. Let's go with bright green and orange. And see if we can work out. So you've got one visit to box 5 and one visit to box 2. So whatever colour this isn't out of orange and green, I don't know, it can still be the 8. I don't know, I'm confusing myself now because I want the maximum number of orange and greens, but I don't know how to limit them exactly. We're going to put 15 such digits on the line. "15 orange and green cells. I don't know. I don't know how to determine what is happening with them. So, was it this one that we decided couldn't appear 9 times? Does that mean it struggles to appear 8 times? I don't know. Now we were, okay, let's do something else first. We were left with 5 and 6 in grey and yellow. Now, can you really get 6 of something in grey? I think you can. You know, I need to work with the double-ended line. So this has got 7 and 8. Come on, Mark. Try and figure out what's going on with the 7 and 8 on this line. Here's another thought. In column 5, so we're putting 15 of these out there. In column 5, you can only get 1 such digit. So column 5 is not going to have 1 of each. Maybe that's a way of thinking about it. And box 5 is not going to have 1 of each. And we know box 2 is not going to have 1 of each. Can I use that to say we've eliminated? No, I can't, because you could have in columns 4, 5 and 6, how many green and orange cells could you have? You can have 1 here, 1 here, and 2 in box 8 somewhere. That's 4 out of the possible 6, so that's only eliminated 2 from the maximum number. That, I don't know, that's not quite enough for me. I'm greedy, I want to eliminate more. There's probably some very easy way of knowing which of these is 8 and which is 7. Okay, let's just think about renewing orange as many times as possible. So that, okay. This is already, okay, orange is limited. Orange is more limited than I realised. Orange cannot appear in box 2. And orange can only appear twice between these 3 boxes, boxes 3, 5 and 6. And the reason I say that is because it's already there, which rules out those cells. So only those 2 cells are possible. Yes, this is it. This is it. Brilliant. Only those 2 cells are possible in boxes 3, 5 and 6. And now, amongst all these 4 boxes, there can only be 2 oranges. Orange has to repeat 7 or 8 times. So it's orange that is repeating 7 times, because there are 5 boxes left after those 2 appearances. And that's what's going to happen. Orange is repeating 7 times and is the 8. And the other digit is the 7 and is repeating 8 times, the green digit. So we've got to get 8 green 7s into play. Now, I was doing orange, so I'm going to consider it. Right, we need to get an orange. Oh no, not necessarily there. We need to get an orange into box 8, but it doesn't have to be in that cell. So maybe I've done the exciting thing with 8s already. So I need 8 7s. So where are they constrained? I need 8 7s. There's only one column that won't contain a 7. There's only one row. There's only one box that won't contain a 7. It's not as constrained here. Yeah, it doesn't make it easy. Okay, every box after this needs to have orange, so I'm going to think about that. Orange is in one of those 3. It's not so easy to constrain orange. Orange can't be there because it's in one of those 2. So orange is in one of these 2. One of those 4, one of these 5, one of those 4, which is annoying. If that was orange, that's orange, that's orange. Yeah, then one of those 3 and, well, just anything here. Oh, bother. I thought this was going to be doable once we figured out the 8 and the 7, and it hasn't got any easier. Okay, I need 8 green 7s. And we've got there. If this was orange, one of these would have to be orange. Maybe that's the harder cell to be orange. If that was orange, one of these 2 would have to be orange in box 8. That one very specifically in box 9. That one in box 7. Nah, it doesn't make it certain in box 1. So I haven't ruled out which of those is 8. Oh, this is very surprisingly tricky. I've got 9 9s on the blue line in purple. I've got ideas for how to do the 8 and the 7. I'm going to have to move on to 6 and 5. So yellow has one possible of its digits. Well, it is yellow repeating. One of its digits there. One of them in one. Yeah, one of them there, and then one in every other box. So whatever the digit repeat, oh no, but it could only be 5 repeats in yellow, couldn't it? One there, one there. Ah, 5 is the maximum for yellow. I'd been only counting boxes, but for yellow, the most often repeating digit can be once there, once there, once there, once there, and once there. There we go. So yellow has a digit repeating 5 times. And that digit is once there, once here, once in these cells, once in these cells, that's a sort of X-wing, and once in those cells. Now, does it have to be a 5? No, absolutely not. This could be a 2, saying that there were 5 2s on this line. Anyway, it's made this digit a 6 in row 1, and this puzzle is all about row 1. And now there are 6 instances of repeats on the grey line, which only visits 6 boxes. So this is one of them. I'm going to use my dark green. One of these 2. I don't know. One of those 2. One of these 2. One of those 3. I don't even want to label that. One of those 2 is the digit repeating 6 times, which could be a 6, but doesn't have to be. And one of those. Oh, bother. Oh, that digit is not in play because yellow in box 6 is definitely one of those 2. So the yellow is in one of those 3. I mean, I'm tempted to assume that for every line that can have the same on each end, it will do, but it's a very dangerous game to play, and it's not logically proven. These digits, by the way, in this box are not 1, 2, 7 and 9, and they're not 3 or 4, so they're selected from 5, 6 and 8. This one has a bit more freedom and could be a 3 or a 4. So the digit that does repeat 6 times is either 3, 4, 5, 6 or 8. But it also repeats here, so it's not 3 or 4. So the digit that repeats 6 times is 5, 6 or 8. If it wasn't the 6, it would be here, and then it would be here, and then it would be here and here, and in one of these two, if it was not the 6 that repeated 6 times. That's the way to look at this a bit, I think. Well, it couldn't be 8, because 8, that would be madness. 8 has to appear 7 times on the orange line. And these places I've highlighted include at least 4 boxes where it's not on the orange line. So it's not 8 that repeats 6 times. That is not an 8. It is now either a 5 or a 6. Could it be 5 that repeats 6 times on this line? 1, 2, 3, 4. These would all be 5s. Looks like it works reasonably well. One of those and one of those. And that's really weird. You would suddenly know that this digit was a 5 by a form of Sudoku. Don't know. It's not impossible for this to be a 6 and this to be a 5. But then there would also have to be 6 5s on the line, and maybe as well, no, there would also have to be 5 6s on the line, as well as the 6 5s. And that would be every box apart from this. So that would be a 5 6 pair. That would be a 5 6 pair. You'd have, if this was a 5, that would be a 6. Oh my goodness. You'd have a 5 here. You'd have to have 6 5s on this line and 5 6s. And then on the yellow line, oh no, this is the end of the yellow line. That would be, oh, it would be a 5. Well, okay, then the problem would be that you'd have to have 5 5s on the yellow line and 5 5s and 6 5s on the grey line. And they don't overlap that much. That would be 11 5s in the grid. You can subtract 1 for every time they overlap, but that would only be in that cell, which would leave you 10 5s in the grid. Okay, so it's not that. So the grey line end is 6 both ends, and there are 6 6s on it, and it's this cell I was colouring in green, dark green. So I can make those definitely dark green now. 6 6s on the line. It's in one of those two, one of those two. One of those two now is a 6. I mean, the colouring is a bit otiose, really, actually. Anyway, now, does this have to become a... It doesn't do anything for this line, but we have got 5 of something, and that's what I was marking in yellow on the yellow line. We've got 5 of some digit. And then we've got that many 5s, and this is not a 1, a 3, a 4, or a 6. So if this was not a 5, it would have to be a 2, and there would be 2 5s on the yellow line, and 5 2s. And that would be one of the 2s. There'd be 1 here, 1 in one of those cells, 1 in one of these. Yeah, it's possible. This is either a 2 or a 5. There's nothing else it can be. It's not a 7, and we do need 8 7s on the orange line. I don't know, is that any help? Not quite, not yet. This is going to come reasonably fast once we get something done, but I'm not at that stage. I need to find all the line ends before there's a point at which it comes fast. Actually, is this the only line end I still have to fill in? Grey is 6 6s, orange is 7 8s and 8 7s, purple is 9 9s, blue is 1s and 2s. It's not really purple, but you know what I mean. And yellow is either 5 5s or 5 2s and 2 5s. Wow. Well, I've got quite a bit done. I didn't realise. I'm actually near what I claimed a moment ago was likely to be the tipping point, and I really haven't understood the puzzle. It's going to be about these 8 7s and 7 8s, isn't it? Oh, bother. So we need 8 of these bright green 7s. That's the task in hand, and they need to be on the orange line. So if that's not on, then they're in every box apart from box 5. I don't know, that's not so difficult to do because the orange does visit each box in at least 2 cells. So it must be something to do with the difficulty of putting both 7 and 8 on the line multiple times together. That must be how we're meant to go about solving it, but that's tricky to understand. Maybe there's Sudoku we can do somehow. I mean, it feels crazy alien in a puzzle like this to suddenly try and do some Sudoku, but needs must when the devil drives. So 3 4s and 4 3s. Whatever that digit is must appear in one of those. I don't know if that was. There are only 3 4s. I see. My pencil marking has been mistaken. I was working on the theory that I had to put 3 and 4 in each box, but I don't. I have to put 3 in each box because there are 4 of them. But I don't have to put 3. I don't have to put 4 in each box because there are only 3 of them. So. Oh, so my logic was bad earlier. My logic was bad when I said that this was confined to 5, 6, or 8. That was going to repeat 6 times. That was when I did it. The logic on the 3s and 4s was bad. Naughty Mark. No, it wasn't, because it was based on this cell having to be one of the 6s if it wasn't 6. It's all right, guys. Oh, now I've... It was all right. It was all right. That's 6. Let's go back. It was okay. It was done based on Sudoku versus that cell, not based on whatever else it was that I wasn't basing it on. That's definitely green. So one of those is green and is a 6. Now, the pencil marking in those cells is bogus because they could contain a 4. That's the bogus bit. But everything else is fine on that 6 line. Okay, so we're okay. Now, we need 7 oranges on the orange line. We need 8 greens. There's some simple blooming thing, isn't there? So we've had the one in column 4. If that wasn't on the line, we would need one in every column. The green in every column. That's not hard to do. No, that's not the way to think about it. My goodness, it is easy to get confused here, though. 9, 1, 8, 5. Oh, by Sudoku, that's a 9. I hadn't noticed that at all. I mean, that should have just been written in. Sorry. 1859. So 2, 3, 4, 6, and 7. 7 almost certainly on the line, but because we need to put 8 7s on the green line. It's just not the same here as it was for the other, for the 8, because 8 got ruled out of those cells. Yeah, that was quite interesting. So it's 8 that appears 7 times, once there, once here, and then in each of the other 5 boxes. I'm just reminding myself of what I've learnt. Once in one of those 3 cells, this 8 appears. Once in one of those 4. Once here. And once in one of those 4, and that just... So maybe I should actually think about where 8 does appear in the boxes. So one of those is an 8. That means the other 8 in boxes 5 and 6 is in one of those cells. That's not, I don't know, I can't use that. Is some line going to get over full because it's got digits on it? Not really. Oh dear. I'm really stuck again. By Sudoku, there's a 6 in one of those cells. And it is either clogging up the purple line or the orange line and the yellow line. That's not uninteresting. If that was a 6, that would be a 6, and this would be a 6 on this big old junction of orange and yellow. Oh, I worked out that this was 2 or 5, and that was still genuine based on what I was doing. Okay. So if that's a 6, that's a 6, that's a 6. We've got a 6 in one of those cells. 6 in one of those 2. We definitely would have a 6 here on this big nexus. And that would mean, would that mean that the green 7 had to be in one of these 2 and there and there? I don't think it would, because we've still got that degree of freedom with 7s and placing 8 of them on the orange line. There's something going on with putting 15 given digits on the orange line, 8 7s and 7 8s. That's what's happening. So column by column. I don't know though, there's only this column that can't have both that I can see. Okay, if that was 6, that would be 6, that would be 6. Does that do anything? 6 would be in one of those 2. That 6 would definitely be here. That's not an interesting and constraining position. 6 would end up in one of those 2. There is always a 6 in one of those 2, so there is always a 6 in one of these. But it's not one of the counting green 6s on the line, and that's why I'm not colouring it. Is it the yellow line? Have I not thought enough about that? If that was a 2, we would have 2 5s, but more importantly 5 2s on the line. We'd have a 2 there, 1 there, 1 in one of those 2, 1 in one of those 2, and 1 there. Not necessarily there, it could be there. No, it can't be there. It would be there. By Sudoku, there'd be a 2 in one of those. That's a sort of X-wing deal. There'd be a 2 somewhere down here. A 2 in one of No, one of those 4. I don't know. That doesn't butter any parsnips. Can it not be a 5? Then there'd be a 5 here. I mean, I've looked at this. I think 5 in one of those. 5 in one of those would already have the 5 in box 3. No, I cannot see how to resolve this end of the yellow line. I can't see how to fill in the 6s. I can't see how to complete the 9s. 3s and 4s just don't seem like there's enough information. And it's 7s and 8s that we keep coming back to, and I just can't quite get my head around how they're limited. Here he is. 45 minutes. Forgotten all about my little man. Nighty McKnight face. Oh, the embarrassment. I mean, this is massive. This is massive. This is just going to do it. Look, 2 is looking at that cell. That's a 5. What is the point of doing these puzzles and forgetting the knight's move limitation? Honestly. So none of those are yellow. Well, I'm getting rid of yellow because I know where the 5s are. There's definitely a 5 in one each of those cells and one of these 3. It's 5 5s that appear. Right, but this is going to do a lot more than that. So the 9s in the positions in which I've labelled them, the knight's move sorts that out. Then it sorts out the other 9s. This is just going to come together, isn't it? And I'm going to feel like an absolute no-brainer muppet. Deservedly. Okay, 9s are done. 6s. Well, there is a 6 in one of those 2 cells because there's either a 6 there and there or a 6 there and there. So one of those 2 is a 6. Now that's not a 6 because it sees them both, including the knight's move. So that is definitely a 6. Actually, that doesn't complete the other 2 6s, but maybe Sudoku does. Yes, it puts a 6 here. I'm not colouring that because it's not the one on the line, but it takes that one off the line and it makes that a definite 6. And that makes that a definite 6, and that makes that not a 6. And the 6 6s are on the line. By the knight's move, I can probably finish off the remaining 6s. I can. They're done. Knight's move. How am I forgetting this nonsense? Those 3 positions for 3 all see that cell, so that's not a 3. Now those 2 see that one. 5 by Sudokus in one of those. Come on, this is just going to be, I maintain this is going to be easy. I just need to do it now. That is not a 7, that is 2 or 8. So 7's definitely in one of those 2. Oh no, I don't know that. I don't know that 7's in every box, so I've got to be a little bit more careful about that. That can't be a 5 because one of those will be a 5 and they both see it. So there is a 5 in one of those 2. It's going to resolve this whole web of 5s around here when we know. We've also got that there's a 5 in one of those 2. Well, that's not right because there's a 5 in there. So that's the definite 5. That doesn't resolve them down here. This is 4 or 8. Knight's move. That's probably my new record for forgetting about it. And the little red man did not do his job. I know, it's cruel to blame him when I'm entirely to blame. I do get that. Okay, 1, 2, 8, 7 are up there. It's going to be about these 7s and 8s again, isn't it? 8 can't be in those. 8's in one of those 2. Right, so they both see that one now using the knight's move. So 8 is not there. So now... Oh no, but yeah, 8 has to be in every other box after this bit of the line. So it has to be in this box in one of those. So it's not in those cells. So it is here. which is not a 3. Now, that means that's not 8. That means this is 8, because it had to be in one of those 2 cells. That means that's not 8. That means this is 8, because it has to be in every box from now on. These 2 have become not 8, which sounds like somebody very posh saying not out. That hasn't quite done it for 7s, though. It hasn't finished off 8s. Well, those 2 positions both see that cell. That's interesting. So that's not an 8. That seems to have to be a 2 by being a naked single of some sort. That's probably not going to do anything. Well, hang on. That 2 sees all of these positions, including the knight's move. So 2's in one of those 2 cells. It's not really. I'm not going to have a chance of finishing 2s. Let's think about. Well, 8 is in one of those 2 in row. That's really interesting. 8's in one of those 2 in row 2, and they both see that cell, so that's not an 8. Obviously, these 2 aren't 8s either, because we filled in 5 and 2, so that is the only remaining position for 8 in box 1. That rules out that cell. Hasn't determined these last 2. Now, there is an 8 in this box. Knowledge bomb, and it can't be there or there. It's in one of those 2. And more importantly, perhaps, there is an 8 in this box in one of those 2. And that rules out this one. So that's an 8 by Sudoku, and that's an 8. Those 2 don't get coloured. That becomes a 4, and that's a 3. But that 8 knocks 8 out of here, puts it in there, which puts it in there, and stops this being an 8. And all the 8s in the puzzle are done, including 7 8s on the orange line. Hurrah. Now we have to find room to put 8 7s on the orange line. We've got a 4-7 pair here by Sudoku and a 2-3 pair below. You know it's there, but we've got to prove it. So that cell is possible. Oh, come on. Oh, that's quite interesting. Look, these 4 cells, how many of those can be 7s? If you put a 7 there, then that's not a 7. So one of those is a 7 by the knight's move, and one of those is a 7. So it's a maximum of 2 7s across those 3 boxes. And is that enough to do this? I thought it was going to be, but maybe I've mistaken. Maybe I've gone wrong. In the count, I need 8 7s, yes. So I can only lose 1 box. So 2 across 3 boxes means that apart from those boxes, there must be a 7 in every box. So there's a 7 in one of those 2 cells. There's a 7 now in one of those 2. Now there's a 7 definitely right there in box 7. This has to be a 7 because we need 1 in that box. This has to be a 7 because we need 1 in box 4 as well. Now, we do need 1 by Sudoku in here, and by knight's move, it's in one of those 2 cells. And therefore, one of these 2 is a 7, and that's an X-wing with those, and that is a 7, which unsurprisingly is on the orange line. Now, one of those 2 is the 7 on the orange line, the next one. That would rule out this, that would rule out this. Okay, so I don't actually know how they finish off, but I've probably got some Sudoku to do. This is a 1. Oh, and I need 4 3s on this line. Well, it's got to be there now, 3 apparently. And one of those 2, not there. Actually hasn't finished off, but now 4 can't be in box 5 on the pink line. So one of these 3 is a 4. This seems to be a naked 5 now. That's peculiar. Then there's a 5 on one of these 2. Oh, these 5s, are they resolved somehow? Just by Sudoku. There is a 5 in one of those cells. So there's a 5 in one of these 3. Ah, there's definitely a 5 in one of those 2. That's Sudoku. So 5 is ruled out of those. That 5 is ruled out of those. So there is a 5 in one of these. Ah, is that not enough? No, it really isn't. Bother. This is 2 or 4 because it sees 3 and 1. I'm going to have to just Sudoku it. Extraordinary scenes. Oh, that can't be 2 or 3 because it sees both of them. And it also can't be 4 on the Knight's Move. That's a naked 1. Those are hard to spot. These are from 2, 3 and 4. Does it do anything? Don't tell me it doesn't do anything. Well, it puts 1 in one of those cells. That's not really doing anything. But it's something. 6, 2, 7, 8, 9. That is 3 or 4. What we need 3 and 4 to be. We need 3 to be in one of those cells, don't we? So does Sudoku tell me anything, or Knight's Move? Not really enough. 4 being in one of those means 4 can't be there, and that 4 says 4 can't be here. 4 in this box is in one of those 2. Again, that's ruling 4 out of this cell. Also 4 out of this cell, but it wasn't in there as a possibility. This one is 1 or 5. No, yeah, it is. I thought those ones were going to rule it out from being 1. They don't. 7, 9, 8, 6, 5. This is not easy to finish off. Despite all the rules and everything that's unraveling. This is 1 or 7. 7s are either there and there and there and there. Or there, 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 there. Neither of those feel very useful partnerships. The 5s then. For that to be a 5 makes those all into 5s, and then that's a 5 and that's a 5. For this to be a 5 makes that a 5, and that is the 5 in row 7. Then there's a 5 here. So this is always a 5 in row 8, column 2. That's a bit strange, probably doesn't do anything. Doesn't reach any of these by Knight's Move. No, I mean it logically couldn't. 3 and 4 are in these. This can't be 3 or 4 because they both have to be on the line here. So that has to be a 2. This is now 3 or 4. That 2 says this is not a 2. That's also, well, this could be, it's not 3. This is 1 or 4. What else does that 2 do? It puts 2 in one of those cells. It puts 2 in one of those 3. How about that 7? No, I mean 7's... There are 4 possible ways of finishing it, and they work on the line. I can't resolve 7s without doing other digits. This is 2 or 3. It's not able to be a 4. 4 could be 8, 4, 6, 9. 1, 2, 3, 5, 7 here. 1 has to be in one of the... I don't know. This shouldn't still be so hard. It was meant to be getting easier. One of these is a 2. And I mean, I suppose that means that can't be a 2 by Knight's Move. So one of those 3 is a 2. And that tells me that this is not a 2. Doesn't seem to tell me much else. No, I can't see it. 738969836 28369. 1 is in one of those two cells. Right, that is useful. In the row, 1 is in one of those two cells, and they both see that. So that is not a 1, and it must be a 7. That's hard sledding. Right. 7 is there, and we've got the 1 on the line here. And that's also not a 5. That's the 7 not on the line. And we've now got 8 7s on the line, if I include that one, which needs a colour. But now we've resolved 5s. That's a 5, that's a 5. That's the 5 in the row. That's a 1, no colour for that. The 5s can all be solid yellows, why not? That one should have been yellow as well, and that one no colour. And the 5s are all done. And now we can surely finish. So that's a 1. That's the 1 in column 4. That's the 1 in box 4. That's the 1 in column 2. That's probably all the 1s done. I've got a 2 4 pair here in the box, so that's a 3. 5 can't go in either of those cells. I wonder how long that's been available. This is a 2 4 pair, but 2's in one of those cells, so that has to be 4. That's also 4. We get 3 in the corner, proving its position. That 4 reaches that cell, so it places 4 there. Wow, I mean, I have not found this puzzle easy, and you notice that. What I might consider, what you might think I would consider is not publishing this video, because I was such an idiot over the Knight's Move for so long. But these are genuine solves, and we want to see you go through the travails we go through, however bad that makes us look. And I do regret it for myself, but the puzzle deserves a lot of effort, and it got it. And that's just a good thing. It's a very clever puzzle. I was not a very clever bunny, but I did get to the end of it in the end, and I'm satisfied with that. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.